finished school, went to college, got the corporate job. And so success at that time was all about the external gains. What's your job title and what kind of car do you drive? And what neighborhood do you live in? And how much money are you making? And it was like you would wear this badge of honor to say, I work 60 hours a week. So, that was the thing.
100%.
So that obviously did not work for me because I would not be here now. But that just was not my space to be in, completely burned me out. And I had this moment that I think we all get to where I was like, okay, this could not be it. This could not be it. Like, this could not be my life where I get up every day, I go to this place that I don't like, get this paycheck, come home and I'm tired and I'm snappy with my kids and it just did not feel good. And so what I had to do at that point is kind of step back and do a self-assessment on myself and actually give myself permission to create my own version of what success looked like.
Welcome to Hopeful and Wholesome, the show where ambitious women come home to their bodies. I'm your host, Hope Pedraza, and I'm a functional practitioner, human design guide, and expert on all things energy, and your partner in decoding the language of your body. This is your space to reconnect with your body's wisdom, reclaim your energy, and rise into alignment in your health, your business, and your life. Because thriving isn't about pushing harder, it's about learning to listen deeper. So let's dive in because your next breakthrough starts right now. Hey y'all, welcome back to Hopeful and Wholesome. Today I have on the show Kendra Woods. Kendra is a soul-led breakthrough mentor and the founder of Soulful Success by Design, where success is measured not by hustle, but by alignment, embodiment, and truth. She supports visionary women entrepreneurs in breaking through their inner limitations, reclaiming their power, and building businesses rooted in soul and self-trust. Through her unique blend of human design, somatic coaching, NLP, EFT, and hypnosis, and intuitive guidance, Kendra helps women transcend conditioned ways of being and step into their next evolution with clarity, courage, and confidence. And today we are talking about how exactly we can redefine success, rewriting that narrative of success, what that looks like for Kendra on her own journey, and how we can do a little bit of inner work to really redefine what success really means and kind of breaking out of maybe the mold that we've put ourselves in and these conditional ways of being and step into our authentic selves. And this is really what she helps women with is this journey to sacred self-expression and letting go of limitations, taking back their power, and just really owning that soul calling and self-trust. Kendra is a friend of mine and I love this conversation. She is so wise and there's so much to take away here. So let's jump in. All right, y'all, I'm here with Kendra. Thanks so much for joining us today, Kendra.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Me too. So Kendra and I have history together because we were in a program together last year and we're doing the pod swap. I love a good pod swap. And so I'm going to I'll put the link in the show notes to Kendra's podcast. So you can go check that out and listen to our convo there. But I was so excited to bring Kendra on mine. And Kendra takes such a really deep approach to business and success. And that's what I want to talk about today, or how I want to start talking about is the success piece. And as I was talking to Kendra before we hit record, this piece has been coming up for me over and over again. And I was working with a mentor not too long ago. And this, literally just keeps coming up over and over. Clearly, I'm being called to clear some things out. But it's the whole idea of success and shifting from looking at external metrics and shifting to internal metrics. And Kendra, I'm just going to let you riff on this because I would love to get your insight, your wisdom on all of this and what it looks like to kind of rewrite the narrative of quote unquote success.
Oh my goodness. Okay. So this is such a big topic for me. And just like you, it's been a big part of my journey. And so just for context, I've always lived with this traditional view of what success was supposed to be, right? Finished school, went to college, got the corporate job. And so success at that time was all about the external gains. What's your job title and what kind of car do you drive? And what neighborhood do you live in? And how much money are you making? And it was like you would wear this badge of honor to say, I work 60 hours a week. So, that was the thing.
100%.
So that obviously did not work for me because I would not be here now. But that just was not my space to be in, completely burned me out. And I had this moment that I think we all get to where I was like, okay, this could not be it. This could not be it. Like, this could not be my life where I get up every day, I go to this place that I don't like, get this paycheck, come home and I'm tired and I'm snappy with my kids and it just did not feel good. And so, what I had to do at that point is kind of step back and do a self assessment on myself and actually give myself permission to create my own version of what success looked like. And I'm not saying that that was easy because I had this huge pull on, well, but this is what I've always seen. So I didn't have any other roadmap to go by as to what that looked like. So I just had to kind of make it up, if you will, but making it up in the sense that where it felt good for me. And what I learned is that I'm not the person, and we can talk about maybe human design in this too, I don't know. But for me, I'm a projector. I have an undefined will center. I've never been the one to go out there and be like, oh, I have to win this. I've got to
Yeah.
compete. Like that has never been my thing. And I tried that for so long. And so for me, that success came from more of an inner place.
Mm.
And I started asking myself the questions, well, when do I feel most successful? And it was completely not the traditional answers. I feel most successful when I'm just, when I have flexibility in my day, when I have spaciousness in my day. I feel most successful when I'm, having fun, vacationing with my family, when I am teaching, when I'm reading a book, when I'm out in nature. And those are not the things that we learned about as
Yes.
far as success is concerned. And then even deeper than that, for me, rewriting that too was also asking myself, well, what's really important to me? What is important to me is feeling really good in my body. And so that was a form of success. And so then I had to get clear on, okay, well, where am I giving my power away around how I want to feel? Am I
Yes.
resting enough? Right? We talked about this in your episode, like the rest thing. Like, am I giving myself permission to rest? No, I wasn't. I had to flip the script on realizing that success for me too is not also about doing. It is about being. Who am I being? Am I proud of who I'm being? Does that feel good for me? Understanding that it's okay that my version of success, someone else may look at that and go, that's lazy, or that's
Mm.
this, or that's that. But being okay with being wrong to them, like not
Right.
to me, but being
Right.
wrong to someone else.
Right.
I'm saying this too, and obviously, yeah, some of the material things do matter to me. Obviously, like I'm on this journey because I want to create wealth for me, my family, my legacy,
Sure.
because I want to be a well-resourced woman. But for me, it's about being first and then truly allowing the byproduct of that to be the wealth, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, totally makes sense. And I think you said, I love what you said about looking at where you were giving your power away. I think that was such a powerful statement because I think so often we see, like you were saying, we wear all these things with the badge of honor, like, oh, I work 60 hours a week and I work so hard. And we see that as our power. Where
Mhm.
ultimately, like you said, like where am I giving my power away? Like I feel like it's counter whatever, because I feel like that a lot of that is us giving our power away because we're giving it away to fit into the grind, or like you said, like to make somebody else like, oh yeah, she's successful, because we're worried about what everybody else is thinking or looking at or measuring.
Yes, right. It's that approval
Right.
because
Right.
we live in a world, I think, where we are given pats on the back and approval for, oh, you worked so hard and you've had a long week and you're so tired. Or we get pats on the back for that in this world that we live in. We don't get a pat on the back for actually reclaiming our power and saying, no, I'm resting today, Or when I was in corporate, people would go the whole year, Hope, and they wouldn't use their vacation
Yep.
time. And I'm like, what?
Yep. Right. Right. And then they would brag about it. I've heard a lot of stories about that. Like, sorry, this is a good thing.
Exactly. But we can tend to carry these things, I think, into our businesses too, where I've even had, clients or other women have been in masterminds would say, I haven't had a true vacation since I've started my business in years. And I'm like, wait a minute, what are we doing? Like we've started our
Yes.
businesses so we could have the freedom.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. No, that's a big one. And I find myself slipping back into some of that, or not slipping back, but like in my mind, it's slipping back into some of that because I'll see, a lot of my friends and that have other, have a brick and mortar business. So other friends who have brick and mortar businesses and seeing how much they're working. And then I'm like, well, should I be doing more? Like, should I be like, no, like, because I'm not in my brick and mortar. I'm not teaching as much as I used to. And that was the goal for me. I don't want to be teaching every day. I don't want to be working in the business every day. I want to be working on business. That's the whole point. But I find myself questioning it like, oh, wait, well, she's teaching how many hours? Like, should I be like, and I'll question it, but I'm like, no, that's clearly what she wants, but that's not what I want. Like, I think that's a big thing.
is being able to be so convicted in what you want and
Yeah.
not have to not have not have it fit into anybody else's idea of
Exactly.
success and what they want.
And yes, yes, yes. And that's where that sovereignty piece really falls into place because it's when you can be so rooted in what feels right for you.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, it's so liberating.
Yes.
And it's
Yes.
permission giving too, right? Because I feel like when people see you doing that, they're like, oh, wait a minute, like, what am I doing? It makes people stop and kind of look a little bit. But it's also like, if you're the kind of person who that's your thing and you want to do all the things and you got to win on it, then have at it. I'm
Right.
like, do you, like,
Yep.
do
Yeah,
you?
you do
That's
you. That's
amazing.
it. That's it. Good for you, girl.
Good for you. And I want to do this over here because
That's
this is
right.
what makes me feel really alive and really
Yes.
good and
Yes.
creative.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I would love to go back to you mentioned a little bit. I would love to go back to the human design piece in that because I really find that interesting. And you mentioned specifically your will center. Are there any other places we can look in our human design that can affect this aspect and be kind of like a, be either be a challenge or a strength for us?
This is so interesting because quite honestly, I feel like there could be remnants of this if we were to
All
look like
over. Yeah.
all over the chart,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But for me specifically, like the Will Center, obviously, yes. But I also think like that root
Mm,
center energy that because even though like yes, it's a motor and it's not one of the strongest ones, but it still is motor and it gives you that drive to just like to do and to ambition and drive. And for me, like I have that defined and I can feel I've had to be really careful around, all right, Kendra, like, yes, we have this inner drive and this inner ambition and we just want to go, but we need to also stop and listen to the body.
mhm.
Listen, like, and it comes to timing. It comes to timing. And what I've learned too is learning how to navigate the inner pressure. That inner pressure doesn't always need to be something that's pushed out. Sometimes it's something that we get to let build a little bit without it meaning something weird.
That's
Okay.
good. Yeah.
And I like that because to me, the way I look at that is like, how can I be precise with this pressure that I'm feeling? And otherwise, what it looks like is just this blind ambition where you're
Sure.
just all over the place. So that's one piece. And then for those, I don't have a defined sacral. I am a projector, but I think this is a really key point though, because I am a projector and I am taking in a lot of that sacral energy. Being careful around that. My husband is a generator, and I literally have to. I'm like, Kendra, you're amplifying his sacral right now.
Mm.
And now I'm at the point where I'll leverage that when he's here in the house. I'm like, all right, I'm going to leverage it. But then I know I've gotten really good at knowing when enough is
I'm going to
enough,
turn it off.
when to turn it off. And I think
Mhm.
that's a key thing that we have to ask ourselves, all of us, even if you do have a defined sacral, where it's like, okay, when is enough enough? Like, how
Yeah.
do I know when enough is enough?
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
do I know that? So there's that piece. So, I mean, yeah, I could talk about all the different pieces, but I think the will center, the sacral, the root, like
Yeah.
those are the ones
No,
I
that
feel
makes
like have
sense.
that
No, that
vibe.
makes sense. The sacral lead is such a good one because I mean, I'm a manifesting generator, so obviously I have a defined sacral, but it's such a good point you made because I say this to my generator type clients all the time. Like, yes, you have a defined sacral, but we're still human beings.
Right.
We still have a threshold where eventually we're just gonna, So I think it's the knowing when to turn it off. And that's a hard one for me. I mean, you can ask my husband because he'll sometimes, I mean, I feel like the past couple of years I've made a lot of strides in that, but for a long time business, he's like, dude, you got to turn it off. Like you got to like tone it down. Like we're in it. So that's a tough one for. I mean, I guess like you said, probably for everybody because it's just equally as difficult for you when you're like, okay, well now I'm amplifying somebody else's energy. But for generator types, it's like, okay, we still have to turn it off sometimes too, and knowing how to um like hold that and be okay with turning it down for a little while before we, use it again or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like learning how to regulate that energy.
Yes. Yes.
You know what I mean? Like it's
Yes.
learning how to like when to hit the gas and when to just take the foot off the gas pedal and kind of just let yourself idle a little
That's
bit.
such a
You
good
know what I
analogy.
mean?
Yes, that's such a good analogy. Because just like we talked about in on Kendra's podcast, that safety around the rest. Cause I think that comes up a lot too. Like it doesn't feel safe to go in idle. It doesn't feel safe to like, or to go in neutral. Like we have, so I think that's the other piece too, is being able to cultivate that safety. The other piece I wanted to ask you about, because we're talking about redefining success. For a lot of us out there, this is a whole identity shift. Like this isn't just a like, oh yeah, I'm going to be cool with, like, it's not that simple for a lot of it. For some people it is, and good for you, girl.
Right?
It's not how it was for me. So when it comes to identity and making this identity shift, what does that look like? Like, what is that repatterning and rewiring? What does that look like?
Oh my goodness. So here's what comes up for me when I think about, again, it goes back to your desire of who you want to be. Like I really had to, like, who do I want to be? I had to ask myself, okay, look, what kind of mother do I want to be? What kind of wife do I want to be? What kind of like person do I want to be for myself? How do I want to be in the world? And the biggest thing that would come up for me would be like, I want to be joyful. I want to be full of vitality. I want to like move through life with this flow. Like even when life is lifing, it's like I still want to feel like, okay, I've got this and I can move through this. And so then what that meant for me then is looking at, okay, how does that tie into this idea of success then? And so then what that looks like is, let's say, for example, in my business, it's like, all right, well, is this feeling joyful for me? Right? Is this feeling joyful? If it is not feeling joyful, it's like giving myself permission to say that gets to be delegated, or I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
You know?
Hey, y'all, we'll get right back to the episode. But first, let me ask you this. You've built a vision that others admire, and you've built something that you're really proud of. But behind the scenes, your body feels like it's lagging behind. It just can't quite catch up to your brilliance and your mission that you have. That late night second wind, the foggy mornings, the hormone shifts, the endless push and forcing. You can't strategize your way out of that. And you already know you don't need more supplements. You don't need another supplement stack. You also don't need another side hustle disguised as self-care, because nobody wants to have their health as a side hustle. This is about recalibrating your entire ecosystem. And that's why I created the Quantum Reset, a premium 3-month high-touch healing experience for visionary women who are ready to feel as powerful in their bodies as they do in their business. Inside, we decode your nervous system, your minerals, your hormones. We read your labs like the sacred text that it is, so we have actual answers. And then we pair that with deep energetic recalibration, subconscious release. We use gene keys, we use human design, and true embodied healing. This isn't about fixing burnout, because that's not what we're doing here. This is about becoming the woman whose body is powerful, whose body is completely electric, whose energy, clarity, radiance finally matches the size of her mission. If you know your success isn't meant to cost you your vitality, and you're ready for a science-backed, spirit-led reset, then the Quantum Reset is your invitation. So check the link in the show notes or send me a message on Instagram, and let's bring your body back online with your brilliance. Now, let's get back to the show.
It's building your identity, I think, around how you desire to show up in the world, and for the longest time, and it's getting this untangled a bit from our conditioned view of what success is, because there used to be a way of thinking in my world where it was like, okay, well, I'll have the money and then I'll be joyful.
Yes. Yes.
You know what I mean? Like It was all about the having before the being.
Yep.
And so the identity shift for me has been more so of a focus on the being. Who do I want to be? Who am I being? Right. And then from that place, connecting into, well, okay, well, now what are the things that I get to do that align with the being piece? Yeah. And then the having, it's like that be, do, have model, right? Yep. And then the having shows up. And I get that, again, I think it feels backwards for a lot of people because we live in the world that puts the have first, the having, the doing, and then I'll be. So I think that is the identity shift. It's focusing on the being. And then from there, looking at, okay, well, from that space, what does the doing look like? Ease is something that's really important to me. And ease doesn't mean easy. It doesn't mean like, oh, everything's just easy in life. What it means is, how can I be the kind of woman that shows up to whatever's showing up in her life from a grounded, regulated space, so that I can then do whatever needs to happen so that I can move myself through this or lead my family through this, or I'm a mother, right? Or lead my daughter through this. And it's a day by day, moment by moment practice. Identity shifts. I mean, as I know you know this, right? Like it doesn't happen like overnight. I think you can make the decision, like I'm deciding this, but then it's holding yourself accountable and reminding yourself, well, I'm choosing to be a joy-filled woman. What does this look like here? Am I being her right now? No, I'm not. All right, let's bring that back into alignment.
Yeah. I think that's such an important piece there because you talked about, you said, being able to still hold, like when life is lifing, being able to still hold all of that. Because I think what trips us up so much, and I can say this from experience, is no judgment because this is my own experience, is life is lifing, and then you kind of revert back to the old ways of thinking and being, right? And then either A, you're like, well, crap, all that work I just did is down the drain, or you're like, oh, I got to start all over. But it's that shift. Can you see it as like, okay, yes, the same thing I've dealt with before is coming up again, but I'm a different version of me now. So can this different version of me now handle it in a different way than that version of me back then handled it? Like if we can have that perspective shift and be able to, like you said, the ease, that's something too. That's something for me. It's like having that ease in life, not like it's always going to be easy, but it's being able to hold it. Like, can you hold it and face the challenges from that, version of you and not move back 20 paces because, life threw a curveball.
Exactly. And I think that that's where I'm going to use like a fitness analogy here because I'm all into like exercising. And what this feels like for me is when I'm practicing like this identity shift, this identity shift, this identity shift, it's like doing reps in the gym, right?
Yeah.
Like when I first start doing leg work, it feels weird. I'm like, oh, this is hard and my legs are burning and I don't like it. But over time, it gets stronger. But here's the thing though. Let's say, for example, I stop for a couple of weeks, right? You're like, yeah, sure, you might lose some muscle mass or whatever. But when you get back to it, it's like your body remembers. It's the same thing with this work that we do. And so I do try to remind myself, because again, I'm human, we're all human. I have moments where I do go back to those old patterns. And instead of beating myself up, I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Okay, let's remember here. And then you shift back into this newer version of you, and it's like it's like your body remembers. Oh yeah, okay, my bad, I just forgot for a second.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, because you're resourced, now that you're resourced, and so you can handle it in a different way. Yeah, totally. I mean, it happens all the time, and I have clients. I think I did a podcast episode about this, or maybe I did in my head, but maybe I'll do one if I haven't already. But I've had so many clients with that frustration. And I had one about a couple months ago, and we're chatting in Vox or whatever. And I could hear, I hear the frustration in her voice because it's like, oh, because there's a lot of times it's that whole it gets worse before it gets better thing. Or it's like, oh, I thought I healed this. And yeah, you did before, but something else is ready to come forward now. So there's something else that's ready to be released and something else that's ready to be healed. It doesn't mean that the work you did before didn't do anything or didn't mean anything. It means that there's another layer that wants to be seen and wants to be witnessed and needs to be healed. I think that's a big part of it too.
And it's like a deeper level of your evolution.
That's it.
Because that's what we are here to do. Like we are here to evolve. So it's like, in order for that to happen, you've got to have these moments where you're like, didn't I go through this already? Yeah. And this is a beautiful thing where it's like, now it's like, did I go? Yes, I did go through this already.
Yes, okay, you're right.
What did we learn from that? And like, how do we get to move on?
Yeah, that's it. And seeing it as, like you said, if you can have that perspective of this is my deeper evolution. Like for me, I see it now. It's like, okay, God's like, okay, all right, next one, here you go. Yep. Like you can handle it now. So I'm like, yeah, like you have to have that, like, okay, I can do this again. So, this is asking for more. So I'm going to give more. So yeah, it's just it's constant evolution. I mean, that's the whole reason we're here. I mean, our souls would not have come here on this planet if we weren't supposed to evolve and change. So we get mad when we're asked to evolve. It's like, well, that's why you're here.
That's the whole point.
That's the whole point. That's the whole point. Gosh, this is so good, Kendra. Okay, so I do have another question I want to ask you. Well, actually, I have two more questions because I have one I like to ask everybody as we leave. But before we wrap things up, is there anything, I always like to give people a chance of any final words of wisdom or anything intuitively that wants to come forward as we're wrapping up this conversation about success and identity and all the things.
So I'd love to talk about this idea of like becoming her, because I am in this season of my life about like becoming, which I think kind of falls into the evolution thing. You're always becoming, you're always evolving.
Yeah.
And so what I'd love to just share is this mind shift of you don't become her, and her being whatever that version of you is that you have in your mind that you desire to be, you don't become her by doing more. You become her by being differently, right? And I'm saying differently on purpose because I'm not saying that you've got to be a completely different person.
Yeah.
It's about being different. And that right there has, again, it's just been the thing that I just want to drill home about. It's like, who are you being when that shows up? Like, when I do have challenges in life now, it's like, okay, Kendra, who are we going to be as we move through this? Yes, this sucks. Yes, this does not feel good. Yeah, I'm disappointed, or yeah, this is uncomfortable, but all right, what kind of woman do I want to be as I'm moving through this?
Mm-hmm.
And that right there, I feel like is like the biggest flex right now. I feel like in the world, you can really be like that grounded, like, okay, I've got this regulated woman as you're moving through life. My gosh, like nobody can take that away from you.
Yeah, I love that. No, girl. Yeah. Yeah. I am so, when I like that you said it's not about doing more, but it's about being different versus it's not about doing more, but being more. Because when you say about being more, it implies that you weren't enough in the first place. So I love that nuance is important, that it's about being different, not more, but just different. That's so good. Oh my gosh. Yes, that's so good. Okay, Kendra, again, I could talk for the next 4 hours. So before I have one final question, that a culminating question I like to ask everybody. Can you let everybody know where they can learn more about you, all the things you're doing, anything you want to share with them of how to connect with you?
Yes, absolutely. So you can connect with me on Instagram. I'm at Soulful Success by Design. I'm loving that space more and more. Obviously, my podcast, we talked about that earlier, which is also called Soulful Success by Design. And then you can go to my website if you want to just kind of tinker around and look at, all the things that I do. That's at KendraKWoods.com. And it's Kay. I always have to specify that. It's not just the letter. It's Kendra K. Woods. Yeah, so you can connect with me in all those places.
Perfect. And of course, I'll have all that in the show notes so you can go check all of that out and give Kendra a follow. The last question I want to ask you that I like to ask everybody: what do you think is the most important thing you can do to live with purpose?
The most important thing I can do to live with purpose is to listen to my heart and soul, and lead from that place. Yeah.
Thank you, Kendra. And thanks for this. Was so fun. I love chatting with you and hanging out with you. So thank you so much for sharing all of this wisdom and the amazing work that you're doing in the world. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Thanks, Hope.